Hey guys, how you doing? This is 1Bit, and this is Path of Exile. This is a action RPG. It was created by a lesser-known developer by the name of Grinding Gear Games. They're based out of Auckland, New Zealand. I hope I was saying that right. And they've made a pretty amazing game here. Now this game has heavy influences from several different games. The most obvious one is the Diablo franchise, specifically Diablo 2. It also has influences from the Final Fantasy franchise, specifically Final Fantasy X's skill tree and Final Fantasy VII's materia system. And that particular combination has made quite the amazing game. And I'd have to say, and I think many other people that have played this game, that more so than Diablo 3, this is the true spiritual successor to Diablo 2. This is the game that people who bought Diablo 3 and were disappointed with wished that they had purchased. Okay, so if you bought Diablo 3 and you're disappointed, you need to go to pathofexile.com and download this game. If you haven't played Diablo 3 yet, but you heard it was a bad game, but you are still interested in that type of game, you need to go to pathofexile.com and download this game, because the greatest aspect about this game, when comparing it to Diablo or any other action RPG franchise, is this game is 100% free. Now, the way that the developers have chosen to monetize this game is that they don't want pay to win in their game whatsoever. There's no real money auction house. There's no pay for new maps or new pieces of content. They've monetized it pretty much exactly the way Valve has done with Dota 2, where if you want to get specific cosmetic looks to your items, it's not actual cosmetic items, but say a skin on the item, then you can pay for those skins. It doesn't change the power of the item. It doesn't make it better or anything. You're not paying for any advantages within the game. You're just changing the look of your character by purchasing these things. And just to let people know, because very much like Diablo, there are hardcore modes in this game. You don't have to worry about losing your cosmetic items. When you purchase the cosmetic items, they get applied to a very specific item. You click on the cosmetic item, you click on the item you want it to be on, and you cannot accidentally delete that item, and that item cannot go anywhere. It's a little bit cumbersome simply because you have to go to that item and remove the cosmetic before you use it on something else. It doesn't just automatically get removed if you want to use it again. It basically goes out of the cosmetic inventory, goes on that particular item, and to switch it onto something else, you have to go take it off and then put it on something else. Another interesting thing in the way that they've diverged from games like Diablo is that if you build a hardcore character, and for those that don't know, in Diablo, if you play a hardcore mode, or in most action RPGs of this vein, if you play in a hardcore mode, it means that when you die, it's permanent, and you lose everything. They do that in this game, but they've put a little twist that actually makes things a little bit better for people. If you play in a hardcore mode, or in a hardcore league in this game, your character dies and you cannot continue to play in that league, but instead of you losing that level of that character and all of the items on that character, they just take all of that and they push it onto a softcore league. So you don't actually lose your character, you don't lose the items, you don't lose the experience. It just gets put onto a normal mode server so that you can continue to use that character in normal mode if you want, and you haven't really lost all that time investment that's been put in that character. So that's actually pretty cool, and I think for myself and for a lot of people, that hardcore is the way that you want to play these type of games, because it's going to provide you with the best play experience, where you really concentrating on making sure you're getting everything right, because you know if you slip up that you're going to lose your guy. And it provides the most fun, and also it provides the most replayability, because as you progress and you get into the higher tiers of content, and once you've actually beaten the game, you start the game over, but they give you even more challenges. They, let's say, make the enemies faster. For instance, I'm in the newest league that just came out a few days ago. It's called the Onslaught League, and all the monsters have more speed, faster attacks, and I think there's one other buff on them. But then once I get through Act 3 and I start the game over, they're going to have even more power. So it's just continually challenging you, and it's a pretty fun gameplay experience. Now, to give you guys some insight into what this video is going to be on, it's not going to be super hardcore. If you're looking for the maths and the build to get to the absolute peak of your character, you would probably be better off going and checking out, say, Kriparian's channel. That's kind of where I went. I went to Kriparian's channel and also his live stream. For those who don't know who Kriparian is, he's probably one of the best Path of Exile players in the world right now. I believe he won the first season, because they have the league set up where they have these things called races in the game. Now, basically, I'm going to break this down for people that have no familiarity with either Diablo or action RPGs, but basically the way it works is, let's say I was going to play in a hardcore league, and I started a new character. They have certain times where everybody can kind of go on the server. Let's say they started up at 12 o'clock noon today. So everybody could go on, and at 12 o'clock noon today, that's when the race starts. And for whatever length of time that race is, let's say they set it to be a 1 hour race or a 30-minute race or what have you, you're going to try to jump on whatever character you want to pick and play through and get as far in the content as you can. And then whoever comes in first, whoever got the furthest into the game and leveled up their character the highest, is going to win the race, and then there's going to be a prize for that. So that's kind of the incentive to play on these hardcore leagues, is so that you can build up points, and then after you build up points from winning multiple races, then you can win the season, and then there's special prizes, of course, for that. And they also have tiered prize points. So for instance, let's say I'm playing the game but I'm not winning races, but I'm still leveling up my character and doing pretty decent during the race. I don't have to come in first. I don't even have to come in 5th or 6th. I can come in 20th, but as long as I've gone ahead and leveled up my character to a decent extent, I'll get some points from that, and eventually those points will accumulate, and along the season, the length of the season, once I meet certain benchmarks, let's say I get 7 points or 14 or so on, there will be certain prizes that I'll automatically win for competing in these races. And of course, the better you get at racing, the higher you can get. Maybe you're going to eventually start winning races, and then eventually maybe you're going to win the ladder or win the season. So it's a really fun concept. It's something that they did in Diablo 2. It's something they're doing in this game. I haven't played many of the various action RPGs, but I'm pretty sure that there's not many that do that kind of thing. But I think that's the incentive towards people playing in those hardcore leagues, and it actually adds an extra layer to the game. But getting back to my point, I'm not super hardcore in this game. I've only been playing for about a week, but I have learned the basics, and that's what this video is on. It's going to be teaching you the basics, gear, itemization, your abilities, how to build things, the crafting system in the game, etc. And as I get better with the game, then I'll eventually go into the build mechanics and end game things. Now, as I said earlier, I am in the Onslaught League, and this is a 4-month league. It just started recently, and let me go ahead and start up. Now, you can actually have multiple characters in the leagues, and all of your characters in the league, they share their achievements. Let me show you that real quick. Now, I've only played this guy a few days. I think I played him the first 2 days of the league, and I haven't really played him much since maybe the first 2 or 3 days. And I've been working on the full clear. So I've gotten, this is Act 3 on normal, and I've done full clears for all of these areas. These are all the Act 1 and 2 areas, and I just have these areas in Act 3 to finish off. Full clear is basically you have to kill everything that's on the map. You know, basically the way this game works is that an area that you're in is an instance, and that has its limits. Let me just show you real quick. So as I walk around here, this is all considered one map. You can see in the top right hand corner, you can kind of see where I'm going on this little X here. When I click on to that area where it says slums, then I'll have entered a different instance, and I'll be on a different map. So I'm going to do that real quick just to show you. Okay, now I'm in this area. And you see the map here. You can also expand it, and it can go in the middle of the screen. Now I have my opacity turned down quite a bit, so it's kind of hard to see there. So I'm just going to leave that up in the right hand corner. Well, actually, here you can see the bonuses that the monsters are getting because of me being in the Onslaught League. They have 20% movement, 20% attack speed, and 20% cast speed increase. And of course, once I beat Act 3, all those bonuses are going to go up a notch. I believe my resistances are going to drop pretty substantially. So every time you loop around and you beat the game, you go to the next highest tier, and I believe there's a total of 3 additional tiers, or actually 2 more after normal, that you can go to and continue leveling up your character. Let's see. I'll just turn that off. Alright, so this whole area is a map, and the monsters are in here. Now, if you look at my guy, you can see this. I'm leaving a trail of fire behind him. This is the cosmetic item. This is, or a cosmetic item. Also, the helmet I'm wearing, that phoenix symbol, and the bats you see flying around my sword and the red effect, those are cosmetic items. And I purchased that with real money, and that's how I'm contributing to the game. Now, they've recently released some cosmetic packs. Well, actually, some starter packs to the game that help you support the game. They give you, I believe, some pets. The higher you get up, you can get like t-shirts and stickers, and I believe the highest ones, which are really pricey, I think the absolute highest one is $12,500, and for that you're I believe that's like a producer level pack. You're getting to create items in the game, you're getting to create a monster in the game, you know, you're getting your name in the game's credits, you're getting a bunch of extra stuff. But this is basically the way that they're producing this game. If you were to go to the Path of Exile website and download this game, it's 100% free. So you're not paying anything for the game at all, and you get to experience all the levels, and they're not nickel and diming you for anything. You don't see little, pop-ups saying here, buy this, buy that. You never see any of that. So I really encourage everybody that hasn't tried this game out to try it out for that reason, because they did a great job. And I mean, look at the graphics. They're pretty amazing. No. You see me taking this guy's out pretty simply, but I'm kind of over leveled for this area because I've been taking my time and doing full clears on all the maps. So a quick way to check, if you click on map, you can see the monster level for whatever map you're in. This monster levels are 27 and I'm level 31. Yeah, so I am a little too badass for these guys. But we're going to go back into town. I'm going to discuss some of the basic systems of the game, and then we'll go back out and do the full clear of that map. Now, if I was going to be in a race, I would have probably pushed my character a lot harder to get to a further stage in the game. I wouldn't want to get to an area and have a higher level, because the way it works is if you have a higher level than the monsters in the area, you get reduced experience from it. Also, if you go to an area and the monsters are exceedingly higher than you, you're also going to get a negative in experience. You want to have it so that they're just a little bit higher than you or equivalent to you when you go into the area, so that you can maximize your experience gain. But obviously I'm playing this in a 4-month league. I'm not too worried about racing. I want to complete these objectives, and I want to make sure I get my full clears done. Since I'm playing solo, I wanted to go ahead and get all my full clears done in the lower level content. That way I wouldn't have to worry about clearing large packs of dangerous monsters and higher tier stuff. And I don't even know if I'm going to be able to play solo in later tiers. I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to do it, but since this is the first character I've created, I'm not 100% sure on that. In any event, let's go over some of the basics. This is a settings panel. You can see I've clicked it up here. It's this gear symbol. It shows my graphics card. You got the settings, full screen. I'm going 1980. You got that set to max. High is the highest setting. 16 times anisotropic is as high as it goes. You can choose to have screen shake or post-processing effects. I have all of that maxed. All of these settings are maxed. Go over to sound. You just got your regular sliders here. You can choose whether you want the reverb sound. This affects whether or not, let's say I tabbed out of this, I alt-escaped and went to the home screen. It affects whether or not the sound's going to play or if it's going to be completely silent. You probably want this to be off if you're planning on tabbing out in an area that's populated, and you probably don't want to tab out in an area that's populated if you're playing on hardcore, because if you die again, you lose your character, at least in that league. UI, that affects the corner in the map. Auto center. Map transparency, that affects the transparency of that. Item objects such as chests and waypoints would be highlighted. I got that clicked. Okay, always show sockets. I don't know exactly what that means. I believe that's the sockets on your gear. Key pickup items can only be picked up while the item the key is down. Yeah, not too sure about that one either. I think that's just the gear that drops on the ground. I think you have to hold down the key to pick it up, but I don't worry about that. Let's see. Corpse targeting, high global chat, etc. Okay, just basic stuff. I did turn this off though, the mouse wheel zoom, and the main reason I turned this off is because if you look here, this is just showing you the keys. Now you can remap these. You can make these different keys, but you can't change the fact that the first 3 slots of this are your mouse keys. So this is your left click, your middle click, and your right click. You can't change this and make this other keys on your keyboard, as far as I know. So as a result, you're forced to use your middle mouse button for this skill. So if anybody knows, if you use your middle mouse button, which is, clicking on your mouse wheel, you're more than likely going to end up scrolling accidentally, which is, if you have the mouse zoom in, going to cause you to zoom in or zoom out, and just that awkward kind of movement might mess you up a little bit. So I went ahead and I got rid of the mouse wheel zoom. You don't really need it in these games anyway. You're going to spend most of your time fully zoomed out. But you can pan the camera down a bit if you had that on. Input, yeah, okay. This is just basically, it's showing you how you can map your keys. And of course, you have all these options here. You can't really change this at all, as I was saying. Now, go over here. This is your inventory. Now, this is why I said it was influenced by Final Fantasy VII. It's very similar to how there was materia in Final Fantasy VII, and the materia affected the skills that you have. They have these sockets and these gems. And let me just open Stash. And each gem is a different ability or a different support ability. And you can see on my gear I have Flicker Strike. This is like a teleporting attack that I do. I have additional accuracy, which is a support gem. So unfortunately this item doesn't have a link on it, which are these little connectors here, these golden connectors. If these things were linked up, then this ability would have the additional accuracy applied to it. Now, in order to level up these gems, you have to have them socketed in gear, which is why, despite me not having a link here, I still have this socketed in. So as you can see, I'm still building up and gaining experience because it's socketed in my gear. But of course, it would be preferable if I could have it in my gear and have it linked. And in higher levels in the game, you're going to get items that are going to help you to link up multiple sockets. And I believe the most sockets you can have linked on a piece of gear are 6. And of course, you can have multiple support gems locked into multiple abilities, which are going to greatly affect how an ability works. For instance, let's say I had an ability like Fireball, and then I took a ability that was a support gem that gave me multi-shot. So then maybe it would take that one fireball and turn it to 3 fireballs. And then I could take a support ability that gave me greater range, and then now all of a sudden those 3 fireballs would have exceedingly large range. Or maybe I could take an ability like Fork. I believe I have a Fork gem. Do I have Fork? I think it's green maybe. Yeah, like Fork. And it's going to change the pattern in which it fires forward. I think the Fork does it where it's one straight ahead and then like a V pattern where they come out. So it's like one straight and then 2 diagonal. So you can vastly change the way your base abilities work by linking them up within this system. So it's a really cool system where you take these base abilities and you're able to modify them based on how you put them into the gear, and also you're able to modify the gear. Now, another cool aspect of this is that in this game, there is no currency. There is no gold, there is no rupees, anything like that. The items that modify the gear are the currency in this game. So you'll fight enemies, they'll drop these various items. You know, they'll drop gear as well, but they'll also drop these little baubles and things. And you can take these and you can trade these with other people that are playing the game, or you can take these and you can use them in combination with certain items, and you can forge items in the game, or you can take them and you can use them to modify items that you find in the game. I'll give you an example of that. Let's see. In the game, you have, I want to say, 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers of items. So you start off with the white tier, which would be something like Iron Ring. You can see that its name is in white. That would be your first tier of item. Your second tier would be those are called normal items. The second tier would be the blue, like this Iron Ring. These are considered magical items. Now, you can see that this is also, it has a red tag under it and it says unidentified. If I take an identify scroll and I click on it, now it's identified. Now I can actually equip it. If it has that red tag on there and it says it's unidentified, you are not going to be able to equip it on your character. Also, if you try to trade it to somebody, you're going to get a reduced return for it. So if I were to take that identified item and sell it to a vendor, I'm going to get less than I would if it was identified. So keep that in mind when you're selling off items. It's not always worth it to identify a lower level item, because sometimes these scrolls are more valuable than the item itself and the return you get. But a lot of times when you have quite a few of them, I would say go ahead and identify the item before you sell it so you can get the highest return for your money. But anyway, getting back to the tiers, this is your first tier. Magical is your second. The third tier is the rare tier, which are the yellow items like these. And you can see as the tiers go up, I'm getting more additional skills and ability that these items have available to them. And then the final tier is the unique tier, like this amulet that I have here. And you can see it has some pretty nice additional bonuses on it. Now, the great thing about this system, and I think what sets this system apart from most other action RPGs, is the fact that you can take an item that is normal tier, and I don't know if you can rank it up to unique. I don't believe you can, but you can rank it all the way up to the rare tier with items that you find. For instance, you look at this item, it's called an Orb of Chance. So I could click on this Orb of Chance and apply it to this normal Iron Ring, and it will randomly give me either a blue item or a rare item, either a magical or a rare. You know, so basically, you can find items that are white in the game that in any other game would just be trash items, but if they have good stats, it might be worth it to use a chance orb on them and go ahead and see if you can level them up and get a better item. I actually did that with this shield. This shield was not a rare shield drop. It was a white shield drop, and then I used a chance orb on it because it had a really good base armor. It had 271. I think it had a little bit less base armor, but then once I chanced it, it increased the stats and it gave me all these additional stats there. So I think that's pretty amazing in this game, so that even if you find items that in other games would be trash, you know, you can look at them and see what kind of stats are on that, and it's possible that that could end up being your next major gear upgrade. So keep that in mind when you're playing Path of Exile. Of course, there are many other modifications that you can do with your gear. When you get a piece of gear, you're not always going to have the socket links that you want, so you can get an item that adds additional links. I don't have one here to illustrate it for you, but I believe it's like the lesser part of this. The jeweler's orb. It's like a smaller version of this, and it allows you to link up these sockets. And what I mean by a lesser version is, for instance, these transmutation shards form the Orb of Transmutation. So you collect some of the smaller shards and they form the larger object. I believe it's the lesser bits of this that allow you to do the link. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, there's these chromatic orbs that change the color of the sockets. The one thing to keep in mind, though, is just like the links and the color and almost everything else, when you're doing this, it's all RNG based, meaning it's all random. So if I was to use that item that changed the color of the socket, I'm not sure which of these sockets is going to change color, and I'm not sure which color it's going to change to. So you don't want to just use one of them on your best piece of armor because, you know, say you just want one particular socket to have its color change. You want to make sure you have enough so that you can do multiple rolls on it, and if you get a color that you can't put your gems in, you're going to be able to, you know, try to switch it again to get it back to a color that's actually usable by you. And the same thing goes with the links. If you use the link item, you never know exactly what's going to happen. You might get this link to go here. You know, it's not necessarily that you're going to get that one link that you need. You're just going to have to use multiple instances of these things in order to get it. So it's not easy, but it raises the value of these items. So the more of them that you have, then the more adjustments you're able to do to your gear and tweak it. And you know, you can really take even the most basic things in the game and turn them into pretty amazing gear, which is, I would say, a very original aspect of this game, and a pretty awesome one at that. Again, now this is what turns a normal item into a magic item. So this would take, say, this white ring, where is it? This one, and it would turn into a blue. These don't really do anything. This is what I use to identify an item if it has the red unidentified mark on it. The shirts don't do anything. The baubles, they can upgrade these flasks. Another neat trick you can do with flasks is if you get 3 of any kind of flask, well, except for these specialty flasks like the topaz and the ones that have these little gold marks on, or the ones that have a rock symbol on them, these little specialty ones, it doesn't work with those. But if it's a life or a mana flask, if you get 3 of those, and I'll show you real quick, and I take this over to a vendor,
you look at shop,
and I choose to sell, and I put them in my inventory, I will get the next highest level in return. So keep that in mind as well. That's why I have so many of those extra flasks, because once I get 3 of any one of them, I can get the next highest level, and then I can, you know, take that. These are like small ones, then I can turn the small one to mediums, the mediums into large, the large, you know, so on and so forth, and eventually just keep upgrading my flasks through that means without actually having to purchase them outright. So keep that in mind. Make sure you're always picking up flasks no matter what size they are, so that you can continue that process and upgrade your flasks and not have to actually spend money and buy them. Now this is a portal. It's a town portal scroll. The great thing about the town portal scroll is you can use it anywhere. You can be in the middle of a boss battle. You can right click on the town portal scroll, go through the portal, come back to town. When you go back to town, it instantly refills your life and mana potions. Well, actually all of your potions. So that's pretty much a strategy when you're fighting bosses. If you get into a position, because basically the way the potions work in this game, the potions refill as you kill minions. But if you're, say, fighting a boss monster and he doesn't spawn adds, it's just a solitary individual, then you're not going to have any way of respawning your life. You're going to drink these potions, but they're not going to regen because you're not killing anything. So you can open a portal, go back to town real quick, re-click on the portal, go back into the boss room, and all your potions will be refilled, and you can continue fighting the boss, and the boss's life will stay at whatever portion it was when you left. So they're a very essential part of the game. You're going to make sure you always have a portal scroll on you. Depending on the league that you're playing on, you probably don't want quite as many on you as I have right now. I'm not so worried about it right now, but for the most part, when you play just to give you kind of an insight here, when you're playing on these hardcore leagues, anything that you have on you, I believe this is the way that it works, is anything you have on you is going to be transported into that lower tier league. But since I have multiple characters on this hardcore league, and you want to make sure you have more than one, they have a shared stash in this hardcore league, which is the stash you see open here. And as a result, everything that I have in the stash is going to stay on this hardcore league. So I have extra gear and things here. And if you remember when I was back on the start screen, I have another character there. So if this character happens to die, all this stuff is going to go to softcore, but all this other stuff that I've collected is going to stay in this hardcore league. I can just use that secondary character and then re-roll, use some of the lower tier gear that I have here that I've kept, and I can just hop on that same character, which is the same class as this guy, and get back into the swing of things and start leveling it up. So you want to make sure that you do that if you're playing in the hardcore leagues, is have secondary characters that can pick up, and also not put all of your eggs in one basket and have so much of your gear on the same person at one time. That's why you see it's empty. Another reason you want it empty is obviously because you want to be able to pick up loot. Loot takes space in your inventory, obviously, so you can pick up more the more space you have available. Now, for another important aspect of the game is resistances, and that's why I have these two rings on me. So because one provides me with cold resistance, the other fire. I have my resistances kind of balanced right now, right around the 30 range, I want to say, yes, somewhere around 30 each. So I don't really need these right now, but these are basically going to push me up another 30 in the fire and the cold areas. So if I happen to meet one or the other particular mob, I can always pop this ring in and replace a resistance that I don't need at that particular time, and it'll give me like a 60% or close to a 60% defense against that particular resistance. So it's good to have additional rings there if you're not already capped on your resistances. Now the resistances cap out at 75% if you haven't augmented them through the talent tree. So you can get up to 75 resistance in fire, cold, and lightning. All of your elemental resistances are just these three: fire, cold, and lightning. It doesn't count chaos. So you can get up to 75%, but you can also modify it with certain talents in the talent tree, and I'll go over that in a little bit. So we did the armor, we did modifying the armor, I believe. We talked about everything there. Let's see. Oh, another thing you can do is you can also forge items, for instance. And items have various recipes. I'll just show you a really basic one, for instance. Iron ring. And a gem.
You getting by?
And you go over here and you place the items here. And then now I get that in return. And depending on which gem you place with an iron ring, you're going to get a different type of resistance ring. Now there are a variety of recipes in the game for different things, both for flasks and for different types of armor. So the more experimentation or research that you want to do, I mean, it really is up to the player whether they just want to experiment and figure it out themselves, or if they want to go on the forums and find out what all the recipes are and then create the items in the game themselves. But that's another way that you can create items in the game. Another cool aspect of this is, let's say I come over here and I want to purchase items. I can look for items that have the socketing that I want, and even though this is white, because I'm able to upgrade it, I can take a white item and turn it into a rare item, just like I did with my shield. So even the vendor items are actually useful in this game. In other games, specifically games like World of Warcraft and things, they got the vendors there, but they're all vendor trash items. You never use those items. But in this game, these vendor items are actually useful, which is pretty amazing to me. So you can buy items for the vendor. In this particular marketplace, at least at this point, there is nobody that sells magic items, but in all the other shops you go to, there are. Actually, I will go to one just to show you. Another cool aspect of this game is that unlike in Diablo 2 or Diablo 3, you can actually progress backwards through the acts. So acts are basically like chapters in a story. As you complete each of these nodes, each node is a map. After you complete all of the nodes in the area, well, you don't even have to complete all the nodes, but at least the ones that progress the story. After you complete them, you can go on to the next act. But in other games, once you progress, you can't go backward. But in this one, all you have to do is step on a waypoint, click, and you can go backwards. Now this is the very first starting city that you would come to. Now the only area that you can't backtrack to, I'll step on this waypoint real quick and show it to you, is the Twilight Strand, which is this area right here. That is really the main reason why I created a second character, is because I'm going through and I'm trying to do an all clear of every single node in the game. I had forgotten to do the Twilight Strand, so I created a second character and I had him basically do that area, kill all the monsters there, and then come to the city, since all the characters on my account that are in this same league are linked up with their achievements. So that's a quick way that you can knock that out if you forgot to do the Twilight Strand in this league. Now in this area, this is the guy that sells the weapons, and this is the girl that sells the magical items. And it's the same way in Act 2 as well. I'm not sure if they're going to have an additional seller after I complete my first quest there or not, but I'll just show you, whoops, purchase, the kind of items that the magic person sells. See, they sell flasks and rings and chokers and wands and such. And in Acts 1 and 2, at least, there is an individual that does that. I'm not so sure in Act 3 because I just started it. And I talked to this individual, but they don't sell anything just yet. So I'm guessing that after I complete my first quest, which is to go find these two lost lovers in the slums area that I showed you earlier, that maybe the girl there is going to start selling me magical items. Now, in addition to your stash, you also have this notice board. The notice board is going to show you basically everybody that wants to create a party in the game. They can come over here and they can post how many players they have and what area that they're going to be in. And you can basically click on it and join up with them. So that's a really cool party system. It's controlled by the players, and at any time you can walk into any town and find some level appropriate content and individuals that you want to join with in the game. Sorry about that. We also have a friends list here. I don't have anybody on it yet because I just started playing, but you can add some people into the game and party with your friends, all from that convenient area. There's also a social tab that does pretty much the same thing. So we've gone over the items, inventory, modifying items, portals. Let me just check the stash real quick. Yeah, we've gone over that. Let me just talk about these flasks real quick. In these flasks, they have just special boost effects. This one increases your movement speed. This one increases your resistance. I believe there are other ones that increase your different elemental resistances. They affect physical damage, how much armor you have, etc. You can also modify these flasks, and you can get special rolls like these. So you have, this is your basic flask, but you can also get a higher quality one that has special abilities to it. See, so this one acts not back to melee. There are ones that remove bleeding. There are ones that give you bonuses to elemental resist. I'm not 100% sure on how to make these. I've seen them drop, but I believe to get the other ones, it involves a bauble of some kind to actually create them, to craft them, but I'm not sure on the recipes of those, but I'll update this later once I figure all that out. You can also get hybrid flasks, which do both life recovery and mana gain recovery. You can use these items to modify your armor's quality. That's another thing. Basically, you have various levels of gear, like I've already discussed. You have your normal through your unique, but you also have the quality of the gear. I'm trying to find something that I have a quality attached to. I don't think I have quality on any of these, but basically if I were to click on this, this affects my weapon, this affects the armor. If I click on this and I click on my weapon, it's going to increase the quality. Quality ranges between 0 and 20%. Every time I increase the quality, I increase the stats. It's that simple. So I can click on this, I can click on my weapon, I increase its quality, and I'll just go ahead and do it real quick since I have 6 of these. You can see I got 1 quality from that, and minor increase to some of the stats. And I can continue to do that all the way up to 20%. Obviously you want to save that kind of stuff until you get your better endgame weapons, but that's one aspect you can do it. And when it shows there vampiric weapon effect, that is actually just the cosmetic effect. And let me show you how that works as well. Click on this tab. Now I can reclaim that effect, and it comes back in here, or I can add it on. And they have various things on the store, like these are weapon effects. This is actually a spell effect, and that gets put onto the particular gem. For instance, I have this one turns fireballs into actual little baby dragons, which is pretty cool. So you can right click on this and then right click on the fireball gem, and then all your fireballs will be little baby dragons. Or this one is the cyclone effect, which is kind of like whirlwind in Diablo. You can click on this and then click on the whirlwind gem, and it'll turn your cyclone. It'll add little saw blades in there. So that's a cool aspect. Also, great thing about that is that it's foolproof. So I can't actually accidentally sell this. If I try, it's going to say no, I can't. The only bad point is that because it's on this particular item, let's say I switch to another character, I couldn't reclaim it unless, if I wanted that character, like the other character I was playing, to have this effect, I would have to log onto this character, reclaim the effect, get it back into my microtransaction window, then go back to my character and apply it. So I think that they could have probably a better interface for that, but again, game's free, looks amazing, plays amazing. I'm pretty happy with how it works for right now. You know, they have minor issues here and there, but that's, you know, more of a small little niggle than anything. Now let's see what else we have here. Did everything up to passive skills. Now this is what I was talking about when I said it was influenced by Final Fantasy X. Anybody who's played Final Fantasy X knows they have a skill tree that looks pretty much exactly like this. And basically the way this works is you have 3 base stats: strength, dexterity, and intellect. Every character in the game, doesn't matter what class they are, has these 3 base stats. Now, depending on which character you are, you have a different starting point. This is the starting point for the duelist, and you can see these are the various starting points for the other classes in the game. And you branch out from there. And every level you gain is another passive point. These are all passive skills. And as you gain excuse me, as you gain these passive skills, you are able to branch deeper into the tree and become more powerful. I mean, that's how it works. There really isn't much more to say about this, except it's extremely complex. So I would highly suggest that you check the forums and read up before you start dabbling in it. I'm not really going to go into it in that much depth. I've only been playing for about a week. I'm working on a build that I kind of mapped out. I did it all on my own, so I don't know how effective it's going to be in endgame, so I don't really want to suggest anybody try my build out. I want to try it out, see how effective it is. I mean, I am on Act 3 in normal, and I haven't had any issues up till now, but, you know, I don't want to suggest anybody try my build out or, you know, take it on, because there's probably something that's far more efficient. But I will say a few things. When you're leveling up your build, one thing you have to keep in mind is these base stats, because when you're putting your gems into these gear, in order to level up the gear, you have to have certain base stats. You can see for this gem, it needs 26 dexterity, it needs 18 strength. So if I want to achieve leveling up, I have to have those base stats. So, for instance, this item here, you know, you can see I'm a bit, well, maybe you didn't see, but I'll just let you know I am a strength and dexterity based character. But you can see, you know, in most MMOs, you know, if you have certain base stats, then all of your items revolve around those base stats. But you can see this, I have like a 29 intellect item on. You might be asking yourself, well, why does he have a 29 intellect item on? Well, I need to have it because in order to have this blue gem, I need 38 base intellect. And as you can see, and here I have just 53. I think if I took this off, I'm not sure if it would allow me to level this. Yeah, see, it went into negative because now I only have a base of 24. So I have to have this item on and this amount of intellect in order for this gem to be able to level up. So you have to keep that in mind as you're going through your skill tree. You're either going to have to get the nodes that increase your various other stats so that you're going to be able to use the particular gems that you want for your build, or you're going to have to get the gear that increases the stats so that you're able to play around more with what you want to pick along your path. Now for myself, I'm going for a shield build that also has quite a bit of movement to it, and defense. And I'm going to show you that in a minute, but let's just finish up in the skill tree. Okay, I already showed you the challenges. These are just showing you what needs to be done in this hardcore league. For instance, the full clear. Use each map. Once you get late into the game, you actually can get I believe you purchase them. I haven't gotten to this point in the game, so I don't really want to go into much detail on it, but you basically get maps for certain areas in the game, and they'll have various different conditions attached to them. You know, like let's say the monsters in the area will do extra electric damage or lightning damage rather than electric. or they'll move faster, or they'll be, you know, a certain exceedingly high level or what have you, and you can go in there with a group of friends and beat the map and then hopefully get a bunch of good loot in that area. So basically that challenge is to do all of these different maps. Let's see. These are items that you can create. So this is showing you and giving you an idea of, actually, or is this something that vendor recipe is when you trade specific pattern items to a vendor? Yeah. Okay, so basically I have to trade a certain pattern of items in order to get these items back in return. So as you can see, I got the flax before I was able to create these rings, and you can basically create all of these other items by trading. That's all it's showing you. Okay, these are the unique items in the game, and I'm pretty sure you can't create these items. So yeah, they're unique because you can't create them. So that means you would actually have to get all of these different things to drop from playing the game and fighting bosses. So wow, that's quite a bit. I don't think there's going to be anybody that gets them. I think those are pretty much every unique item in the game. So chances of you getting are pretty much nil, but it's, you know, it's a challenge. It's, you know, whoever gets the most wins it, right? And then Slay Rogue Exiles. That's something for, actually, it's not on the Onslaught League. It's in the, I guess you would call it Softcore League. Or they call it the Anarchy League. This is Onslaught, the one that I'm in. But this challenge is specifically in the Anarchy League. Basically, there are NPCs that play like characters, that they have the same abilities that you have, and some of them are supposed to be exceedingly difficult to defeat, up to the point that the developers noticed that they were one-shotting some people, and as a result they didn't want to put them into the hardcore league until they got the balancing right. So right now they're only available in the league that allows you to die and continue playing after you've died in that same league, which is the softcore version. So that's the only way you're going to meet them. If you're playing hardcore like myself, you're not going to meet those guys. But in order to complete that challenge, you would actually have to start a character on the Anarchy League and go through that. Or, of course, you know, there's always the option that you could complete all these other challenges, then just get yourself killed and go with your amazingly powerful hardcore character to that league if you were, you know, insane. But you know, I would highly suggest you not do it that way, because after these the Onslaught and Anarchy Leagues end, this character that hopefully will still be alive at the end of that process is going to be able to move on to the normal hardcore league with my other hardcore characters, and any character in the Anarchy League is going to go into the normal softcore ladder. So keeping these characters alive is still my mission number one, basically. Now this over here is just showing the progress of the various gems that I have equipped, and once they get kind of close to leveling up, it just shows them over there in the corner there. One other thing, you can also have secondary weapons equipped. Another cool thing in this game, everybody can use everything. It's not like if you're a magical guy or that's mainly has intellect, that you're the only one that can use wands, or a certain class can't use bows. Everybody can use everything in the game. So I have my secondary as bow and arrow, but I could just as easily have my secondary be a wand. But since I have the agility stats, obviously that kind of synergizes the fact that I have a strength agility base with the bow, which is more of an agility based item. Same thing goes with the wand being an intellect based item. You know, obviously that is going to have more synergy with a magic character, but you still have the option to use anything with anybody. And there's also a quick select for that you can assign so that you can easily swap without actually going through the menus, like so. Now I believe that's been pretty much everything. Open the world panel. Okay, and that's just to shows the quest that you have in the area. You know, every act, you know, after you talk to people, when I first came in here, they have little exclamation points over their head, like the guys that get surprised in Metal Gear Solid. Click on them. You have a little bit of dialogue, and also the game has full voice acting. So if you don't click fast through it, you can actually listen to them speak to you, and they'll read out all the text, which is pretty cool, pretty engrossing. And then you can go on the quest.
Something caught your eye?
You can see they have pretty excellent voice acting all around. Unfortunately, I went through all the dialogue options, so they're not saying much of anything now. So let's go ahead and move into the combat, since I went over all of the basics. I believe I went through all the basics. Items, gear, equipment, skill progression. Yeah, I think I went through most of the basics. Let me just check on stats. I guess the stats are kind of important as well. Well, obviously, in a game like this, I'm not going to go into any great detail again, but just basic information. Resistances are very important. They cap out at 75%. You want to get your resistances up when you fight mainly the boss monsters, but when you go through certain areas, you're going to find some rare monsters. Obviously, just like the gear, there are magical monsters that are blue color, that have a blue color nameplate, and rare monsters that have a yellow nameplate. Those monsters generally you're going to have very dangerous effects. It's going to probably be one of these elemental effects, although there are some monsters that are also going to have this chaos effect to them. Now, chaos, what I found so far is there is some gear that gives you resistance to chaos, but it's few and far between, at least at this level. But it hasn't been too much of a problem for me, simply because I've been able to stack up armor. You can see my current level of armor gives me 54% damage reduction, so I'm taking less than half damage from monsters that get in physical range. And then on top of that, I have this gem that gives me Molten Shell, which adds another 294 armor on top of that. So I'm pretty tanky. Also, the shield gives me a ton of armor. I have chest piece that gives me quite a bit of armor, you can see. So I'm doing pretty good there. But the resistances are basically going to be your armor versus magic. So getting these up, you want to try to get them as close to capped as possible. Again, you're going to be able to do that not only by your items, but also through the skill tree, finding these nodes that give you resistances, such as these ones here. And these are the ones that I'm working towards right now, because I want to get these capped out. So I'm going to pretty much take everything that's right here so that I can get my resistances in a, I can get all of these up by 30 and another, actually it's going to be like what, 42% on top of what they already are. So 42 to, what is it? Yeah, around 30. Yeah, so that'll put me in around the 70 range for all of them, which will be pretty close to the cap. And then there's a couple other nodes I'm going to pick up for resistance later. Now, the way that the resistance cap works is that you can get over the resistance cap, and you probably do want to get over it. The reason for that is you're going to find, like I said, later in the game, where you're going to get those maps. And by having over the resistance cap, you're not actually going to get more than the 75 unless you get very specific nodes, such as this one, which actually gives you another 2% on the cap. So it starts at a 75%, These additional 2% is going to make that 75 a 77% cap. And I believe there's a couple other nodes that you can get that can raise the actual cap. But if you get beyond the cap, meaning let's say the grand total of your resistance, let's say it was 100. So it's 25 over the 75 cap. You don't get that applied to you, but let's say I went onto a map that was minus 25% to all resistances. If I went on that map with 100 total resistance, I'm going to lose the 25 that it doesn't count for me, but that I have anyway, and then it's going to leave me at the cap of 75. So even though I went past 75 resistance and I only kept 75 resistance, when I went onto a map that say drops me by 25, I don't get dropped from 75 to 50. It counts those extra resistances I got beyond the cap. They still count for me. So you do want to not only cap your resistances, but go a little bit beyond it, so that when you go onto those harder content and those harder maps, you're able to still have decent resistances, so you're able to survive. Again, I'm not going to go into any great depth. The resource I used is the Kriparian channel. I would suggest you go over there as well if you want any great depth into builds and things. You can also go to, I believe it's exilepro.com or Path of Exile Pro or something along that nature to find out some various builds and things. I'm more of a experimenter. I want to try out. I've already mapped out where I'm going to go on this tree, but I want to kind of just see if it's effective for me in the high level content, and if it is, then I'll come back to another video and I'll share that with you guys and let you know that it is effective. Okay, let's go out and kill some stuff. I'm going to show you one last trick after I load in this map. Now, another cool thing that you can do, you can see this shows you all the keys that I have set up, but when you have a, what's it called? An aura. When you have an aura effect, one cool thing that you can do is you can actually click on any of these keys at any time, swap out what key does what, but you can also put on an aura effect. You can see that I have more skill gems equipped than actually fit in my selectable slots. But since this is an aura, meaning that it's going to just stay on once I turn it on, I can apply it to that key, turn it on. It's now applying this aura effect, which is going to give me a 4% chance, increased block chance, and it's also going to do damage anytime I block between the 23 and 34% range in elemental damage. Now I can click on the same key and I can swap it out for an on-use skill. So keep that in mind. If you have auras, you can actually have multiple auras on, even more than you have slots, and then you can also have additional skills and you can map over them. The only problem is that every time I go into an area, it turns the aura off. So I would have to go and do that every time I enter a new map. But just the ability to have the aura up and still have all of these unused skills is quite potent. Now the build that I'm going for is centered around being tanky and also doing damage while I'm tanking. So of course I have that ability that's increasing my chance to shield block, and I'm getting some elemental damage from that. I am going to boost my elemental damage slightly, but mostly it's going to be the tankiness that's helping me. Now the boosting elemental damage of course is going to help this ability where I block and I do damage, but it's also going to help this ability here, Molten Shell, which surrounds me in fire. Let's show you that real quick. And after the enemies do a certain cap of damage on me, which is, what is it, 296 total damage, then that's going to explode and do damage in an AoE around me. And since that's elemental damage as well as this, both of those things are going to be boosted by my my elemental damage modifiers, which I haven't really skilled to at this point in the tree, but I'll eventually get to. Another cool thing that I get in this build is the Enduring Cry. Enduring Cry, basically, I'm going to try to get into a large pack of enemies. I'm going to pop Enduring Cry, and it's going to give me endurance charges. Endurance charges are going to be little orange orbs that you see floating around my body. The more enemies I have, the higher number of endurance charges I'm going to get. Now, in this build, I'm actually going to pick up 3 additional endurance charges on the map. It's going to, well, by the map I mean the skill panel or the skill tree. I'm going to pick up this one here, as well as the 18% increased duration. I'm going to pick up, where is it? This one here, as well as another 18%, and I believe it's, yeah, and this one here as well. I'm not going to pick up this one because this is a regen, so I'm going to have the, what's that? %, increased duration on the endurance charges, and I'm going to have 3 additional endurance charges that are going to be able to be applied. And for each one of those endurance charges, they are going to increase my physical damage reduction by 4%. So that's going to be a grand total of 12% reduced physical damage and 12% reduced elemental resistance. And I believe those stack beyond the cap. I'm not 100% sure on that, so if I'm wrong, go ahead and correct me in the comments section. But I believe they do stack up beyond the 75% cap. Let's see. In addition, my build is going to get at least 1 frenzy charge, which is going to increase my attack speed, and as well as my crit multiplier. So it's going to give me another 50% crit, which will be pretty cool. So mainly I'm going to get into a pack of enemies. Once I increase my block through block nodes, which you can see are the ones like this here. Now these are actually what increase your shield block. These where it says 2%, but every time you block an attack, based on your stun recovery, you are going to have like a little bit of a pause every time you block. So the faster your recovery is, then it doesn't really affect the amount of block. These affect the amount of blocks, but the quicker you come out of that animation and can continue either attacking or getting in more blocks. So you want to make sure you get recovery in equal measure to the actual block chance. You don't just want to favor the block chance over everything else. And I'm going to get several of those nodes as well in this build. So, because obviously my gems allow me to do damage when I'm blocking, and of course, as the enemy is attempting to damage me, he's going to end up doing damage to himself when the molten shell blows up. So let's go ahead and pop that. You see I have cleave here, so I can hit multiple enemies, and the molten shell exploded because they got the damage cap and it blew them up. The whole time I had full life. They basically just took down my energy shields, which I can discuss in brief. Basically, energy shields work similar to shooters. It's kind of cool thing. I don't believe that I've ever seen energy shields in any other RPG game, but they work pretty much like they do in first-person shooters like Halo. Basically, the energy shield, it's just an overshield. It goes over your character. They regenerate in time, and until that goes down, you have no loss to your life. So you can stack your energy shields, you can stack your life, you can stack both. My particular build is going to have a bit of stacking on both ends, so I'm going to have some nice energy shields to protect me so that I'm able to get off all these defensive abilities and tank a bunch of enemies. And that's actually to my advantage because I have a gem here which is attached to my heavy strike, and it's called melee damage on full life. So because I'm gonna eventually, like right now I don't have that much energy shields because I haven't been able to reach it in the tree. But once I increase my energy shields, what's going to end up happening is I'm going to have full life for, quite some time. And I'm going to be able to tank these enemies, do a lot of damage to them with my cleave, which was that swinging attack you saw hitting multiple enemies there. That's cleave. And I'm going to be cleaving them. I'm going to have my shield doing block damage. And once the molten shield bursts, it's going to be doing quite a bit of AoE damage. But then on top of that, if I see a single target that is kind of beefy and he's hard to kill, I can use my right click. This is the most damaging attack that I found so far in the game for this character, the heavy strike, and I can use heavy strike. There, it does, at least on this level, 318.6 damage. Of course, this damage is going to scale up as I get into higher level and I increase the level of the gem. As you can see, it's going up. But once this support gem is attached, it actually increases that damage by another, at base 30%, and now because of this level it's at 30% more additional damage. So everything is going to have kind of that synergy about the tankiness. So basically I tanked up and do a ton of damage. Now, I'm doing a full clear of this map, so I'm going to have to basically pick an area and clear it. And when you're going and trying to do a full clear, you want to make sure you get every little nook and cranny. I can see this guy's doing fire damage and carrying queens, so I haven't quite gone into this area. Yeah, there's a bit of lag here, so I'm going to be a little cautious. What? Almost one-shot everything here. I don't know why shield was dropping so quickly there. Yeah, you can see he's doing quite a bit of fire damage there. I'm going to go ahead and pick up these magic items, and you can see I'm going to check this out anyway, even though it's a white item, simply because I don't know what the links on it are. Let's see if it's valuable or not. Now I think that he's going to continue to spawn little guys. So I'll go ahead and kill him first. I think that's what it was. He just kept spawning those other little guys out of him. But that little bit of lag you saw in this game so far is well known. It's called desync. Basically, it's when your character and the server are out of sync, and as a result, sometimes you do a little warping around the screen. Another negative event that can occur is because you're desync from the server. On your screen, you can appear to be attacking the enemy, but it can be doing no damage to you at all. Or you can be doing no damage to it at all while it's doing damage to you. So that's why I kind of pulled back there. You know, I would normally have just, you know, gone in the middle of everything and tanked it, but because I haven't been to this area before, other than when I first started this video, and I'm not really sure about the damage numbers that these guys can do to me, because I don't really have that great resistance. I only have like 30 resistance, somewhere around like in the 28 to 30 range, so I don't want to be too risky in this area because this is hardcore. Even though I am kind of OP for this area. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this guy just is going to infinitely spawn these little guys. I'll go ahead and take him out, get in his face, finish him with heavy strike. Didn't have a hope. Yeah, this dash that I'm using is the flicker strike. Well, actually not the dash, but the kind of like blink teleport. You have to do the flicker strike onto an enemy. It does have a chance to miss though. It's the same as your regular miss chance, which as you can see a couple of times I was attacking and I was missing. If you go over to your offense panel, you can see your chance to hit. Mine is 88%. Now, I don't have my accuracy gem linked. If it was linked, I would have this probably, I believe that that additional 206 accuracy, probably well at 100%. So every time I flickered towards them, I would hit them. But now it only has the 88% base of my character. I believe that's how it works. So I'm not going to hit with every single flicker strike. Plus there was a little lag going on there. So yeah. This 1625, yeah, I don't need these white items. Now, depending on what it is, I might identify it or not. Usually, if it's a yellow item, I always identify it. Reasoning being, once you identify an item, the stats are going to increase on it. You can see it now. It revealed all of the elemental damage and the other things there. But sometimes you also see the physical damage increase as well once you identify it. But yeah, I try to always identify it simply because it's a rare item. It's going to give me quite a bit of resources, regardless of whether I'm going to pawn. I'm probably going to pawn all this stuff because it's it's sufficiently less than what I have, so that I'm not really worried about it. Although, see, I'm also looking not only at the damage, but also the attacks per second. You see that has 1.30 compared to my 1.20. Basically, the higher number is better. So the item that I have on right now, it had a higher attack speed than my last item, but it had less overall damage than my last sword. I think my top damage on my last sword was a little bit higher, but since it had faster attack, or it had more attacks basically per second, it was actually a more damaging weapon. So seeing as this has a faster speed, I'm going to go ahead and do a comparison. I'm going to click my offense. I look at my damage per second. It's 150.6. And check it. And no, what I have on is better. So I'm going to go ahead and vendor this. Now, if I didn't have any other swords in my inventory, I might keep this just in case my guy did die. And once I get up to this level, I'd have something to use. But I'm not going to really worry about it right now. I believe I have a backup weapon already in my inventory. But when I get back to town, I will vendor it. This is a shield charge. Basically, the further you are from the enemy, the more damage you're going to do. Whoops. And you can miss with it, but it is pretty devastating. You can see how much damage it's doing.
Oh, well. A little wall is holding me back. I thought I could walk over it. Now that little chime indicates that this is ready to level up, so let me go ahead and do that. And it's going to level up. I'm also going to check. You always want to check every time you level one up, just to make sure everything is copacetic and that it hasn't reached basically a plateau where you're going to need to increase a particular stat in order for it to level up again. So that was a red gem that just leveled up. Yeah, it was this one. That's why it only has 1 point in it. So yeah, it's going to be fine for leveling up again. And you just want to make sure that way, if you're going to have to get some stats, any particular stats, next time, you're aware of it. Yeah, it's a little desync here. I think the reason that dropped off is because I dropped below my, I think I used all of my mana. And when that happens, it just drops off the shield, because your shield is a percentage of mana use. So if you go to 0, it just turns the passives you might have on off. It's pretty nice. 937. What I got on it's better though. Yeah, it's got nice links on it. See, like this one, it has 3 links. So you could take something like that, because it's 3 linked, and attempt to sell it to somebody else once you got it leveled up. If I took this and, say, tossed a chance orb on it, I could probably put that in chat, in the trade chat, and try to sell it. Yeah. I think that's one other thing that I haven't gone over, is just the trade options in the game. So I can show that real quick. You just go to the social panel. Well, actually, no, you don't have to do that. You just click on this chat, and you can go into various types of chat. Global, of course, is everybody on that particular league. You have your party for your party, whisper for a particular person. You click whisper, and then you can right-click the names of the person. I have the global chat and the trade chat hidden. That's why you can't see scrolling chat right now. But you can just click on their name and choose to whisper them and speak directly to the person. If you want to trade, you would go into the trade chat. You would post items that you want to trade in trade chat, or find somebody that you want to trade with. If you find somebody that is selling something that you want, whisper that individual, arrange on a place to meet, join them in a party, and then you have a trade option, and it's that simple. There is no actual auction house in the game. You do all the trading man to man, or man to woman, or woman to woman, so on and so forth. You know, when you're doing these full clears, you want to kind of find the edge of your map and clear everything. I want to get like a pattern and just go across it. back and forth, make sure I didn't miss any monster, because there is a way to check actually to see how many monsters you have left. You can do / remaining, and as long as it's more than 20, you're always going to get more than 20, but after it's less than 20, it'll count down and tell you exactly how many monsters you have left on that particular map. But if you get a good pattern going, see, now that I know where the edges of the map are, I can just kind of go back and forth and ensure that see, why is this going off? So I wasn't doing that before. Oh, I'm forgetting to use my endurance charges too. That would help quite a bit. You see that little orange circle that's revolving around my guy. As I'm fighting, I'm also popping a potion so that I don't lose too much health. Yeah, he's doing quite a bit of fire damage to me. Is this a rare monster here? Yeah, it is. Now I could go ahead and put on a fire resistant ring just because of the amount of damage he's doing to me. Just increase it, but since I've pretty much cleared out all the other mobs, I can probably burn him down relatively quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Wow. Yeah. Wow. I guess I get so many blocks before it automatically turns off. I wasn't recognizing it before, but I suppose that's how it works. It's a little bit more work, but it's still worth it being able to have all of my skills up. And I believe the other passives aren't reactionary like the shield blocks, so you can still kind of use that trick there to get an extra skill up. And I'm just going to be going, whoop. Yeah, this is a different area, so I'm just going to be going back and forth and checking within the perimeter of this map. What's up these stairs? Is another area?
I believe in traveling light.
It's two-handed. Pretty decent stats. 19 to 32. Yeah, let me go ahead and swap those out. Better stats hopefully means better loot when I trade it. I'm just gonna check. Yeah, I got way more. Another thing to keep in mind too is the game doesn't always automatically organize things well. So sometimes you'll have, let's say, an item that can fit into this slot, but because let's say I'm disorganized. Let's say I had all my gear like set up like that. So let's say there was a 4-slot item here that could fit in here. Because of the way my gear is put in this bag, if I tried to click on that 4-slot item, it wouldn't fit. So I'd actually have to open my gear, move this up, and then those 4 slots are open for that piece of gear. So keep that in mind, that sometimes you have to adjust your bags just to fit little extra things. It doesn't automatically adjust and just fit things that you can pick up into your inventory. So make sure you're checking it every now and again. Now, it's like everything got flip-flopped or something. I don't know what the heck happened here. Scarlet Remnant. Sure, I'm getting everything back in here. It's hard to tell just what is the with what areas of the map you can walk on and which are just there for show. So he did such a great job with it aesthetically. It looks so three-dimensional. You're like, well, can I step on there? No, that's not. Yeah, but that little bit of lag kind of threw me off where I could go and couldn't. So I got that whole section done. Let's go and check this section here. Now that's kind of turquoise color, that is a gem. Very important. Want to always get those, regardless of what they are, because even if it's something you don't need, you can always trade it for something else. But you're always going to want to pick up gems. More than any piece of armor or any other item in the game, you definitely want to pick up gems. Is this a dead end? Yeah, it is a dead end here. Also smashing barrels and environmental objects, rolling over stones, etc. Smashing vases. They will also give you some loot. So make sure you search every nook and cranny in the game. think I got everything up to this point. I'm basically just sweeping from left to right across this map. Now, I believe if I pop this, it's... No. It increases the aggro, but it doesn't really stop them from attacking me at range. Oh, it looks like this is another area. Okay, that's locked for now. Make sure you're always picking up the scrolls. They have a little bit of a yellowish tint to them. They almost blend in with the white. Be nice if they put a different green or different color on them, like a green or something. So it'd be a little bit easily, more readily recognizable. But for now, you just gotta.
I believe in traveling light.
25 to 47. Just getting pretty high up there. I'm going to go ahead and dump this for that. It's got a better top end. It's also one-handed, so I can actually use it. And another reason is because it gives me a 4-slot space. I can fit another 4-slot item in there later, which is going to increase the amount of return I get. Increase global critical strike chance. I don't see myself using that right now, but go ahead and pick it up. Actually, I think I have
believe in
room.
traveling light.
Nope. See? That's exactly what I was talking about. Because these were taking up that 4 slot space. I was able to pick those up. Also, if you have this window open, it's not going to automatically add it to stacks. So go ahead and close it when you're picking up some things. Yep. So now I'm absolutely full, other than stackable items.
I believe in traveling light.
Okay, this is that link item I was talking about. Orb of fusing. Yeah, I don't see myself needing the critical strike anytime soon, so I'll drop that. Second exit I found. Okay, is this the other end of the map? Lovely. It's almost done. Should almost be done with the full clear here. Let's get the whole back end of the map done.
I believe in traveling light.
I'm gonna have to get off soon. Catching myself falling asleep, which is not a good thing on hardcore. Yeah, hopefully this won't take too much longer to clear. Although since I'm doing a commentary, I'm kind of taking my time with it. Okay, that's nice. I actually want to get this because it's going to help me to level that up
I believe
quicker.
in traveling light.
Rapier 9 to 20. That's like garbage damage compared to what I'm at, what I need at this level. So go ahead and get rid of that. But having another flask is going to help me keep up with the Joneses in the mana flask department. Because the better flasks, they're going to greatly increase the rate in which you receive a return, the amount of mana that you can get. So making sure you pick up the high level ones is very important. Enough said. Alright, I'm already way over at this wall. Shouldn't have much more to go. And after I complete all of the kills, I'm going to get an indicator that tells me that oops. More than 20. That's quite a bit. Let's see. Let's set this to global. More than 20 remaining. That's quite a few. I'm actually kind of surprised that there's more than 20. This is like the starting area right here. Okay, let's get this. Yeah, there has to be a rather large area that I've missed out on. Yeah, it's up this way then. Okay, these are black guards. These guys can be pretty tough, so yeah, it looks like he has, what does he have on him? Reduced physical, uses double slice, does double strike, reduced physical damage taken, resist elemental damage, and uses double strike, uses cleave as well. Alright. Let's fight him by himself. I can take advantage of him. Yeah, burn him down. Easy. 17 to 35. Yeah, we'll just dump this and pick this up. Maximize our return. Yeah, you can see how the physical damage increased from 17 to 45 up to 20 to 53. So making sure you identify the yellows is quite important before you sell them, because it might not look like it's that good, and then once you identify it, it'll leap up quite a bit. Which really doesn't seem to be the case with the blues or the other ones, so it's less of a worry with those. So chance to block us. That's a pretty high chance to block. 30% chance to block. I think that's better than my shield. It just doesn't have the armor. It doesn't have any armor. It just has the evasion energy shields. Oh, another Grand Mana Flask. Uh-oh. I have to get rid of something. 25 to lightning resist. No. So long, Topaz Ring. I'm getting the Grand Mana Flask. It's interesting, but more energy shield is not as important as the resistances. Okay. Go ahead and push all the way to the wall here. Alright. Oh. Okay, so I did everything back there. I guess it's just this southeast corner I have to take care of. Grand Life Flask. Really running out of room here, man. $34. Dump that. Oh. Now this guy's... he's just a minor blackguard. Let's go ahead and finish the rest of these fools out. Defeat the guards and rescue Clarissa. Do a quick remaining check. Okay, not too many left, just 18.
I don't mean to be ungrateful, but we've no time for talk. It's Tolman. Piety has him. They're headed to the crematorium. It's not far. I can make my own way back to the encampment. Please, go to the crematorium and bring Tolman back to me.
Alright. Got a new quest from the Star-Crossed Lovers. And I just need to finish off this area. 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. Let's finish off this big guy first. This one guy. Where's this one guy at then? This kind of sucks when it always sucks when it's one guy. I think I did a pretty good job of making sure that I got every little nook and cranny, but there we go. And there you go. You're going to see this anytime you complete a full clear. Full clear in any difficulty, slums complete. So now I got everything. Turquoise, what's that do? Not much of anything. So I completed this quest. I can... what's this? Find Tolman at the crematorium. Alright, so technically this quest has not been completed because I only found half of the two lovers. But I can go back now because I have a full inventory and I want to be able to go through the new area and pick up some more loot and gear, etc. But I hope that gave you guys a good overview of Path of Exile, what the combat's like, kind of what you could do with a shield build at least. There's a lot of different types of combat, though. You can play as ranged characters, magical ranged characters with all kinds of different spells and things. So it doesn't all look like what was presented here in this video. But I hope that was a good overview of everything. I'm going to go ahead and come back here, turn in, and then we'll wrap it up. Yeah, you can see some guys with the various different cosmetic items on. It's cosmetic effect, so is that headpiece. That's a cosmetic effect as well. Let me go ahead and sell some stuff off. Okay, now after you reach certain benchmarks too, they'll have little text pieces here. I'm going to go ahead and play this through.
I said we're missing 2 lovers. One lover isn't much good to anyone.
Alright, let's see what she says.
Maramor Padua thanks you. Clarissa is the heart of this place. The only exile I've ever seen laugh in this twisted city's face. There'll be no joy yet. Tolman isn't deserving of Clarissa, but she'll not smile until he's by her side.
You get in there.
Alright, I'm going to sell some items. 16 to 30. 1.3. Yeah, that wasn't good enough. 2053. I'm not really using staves or whatever they're called. Armor 16. Yeah, it's not even as good as what I got on. 25 to 47. That's not identified yet. Yeah, didn't really go up that much. You can see what I have here. If I go ahead and identify that, it's going to increase the resources I get from it. And it gave me 2 more alteration shards. It's not really worth it for these 2 though. It'll bring me up to 10, I guess. But I'm losing 2 of my Scrolls of Wisdom, which I'm not exactly in short supply, but I don't want to burn through them either. I don't think I can get the next. Yeah, it's still Reddit. Like, you can tell if you're going to be able to apply something to yourself if it has this red backing. See, so in addition to the red number there, it's level 34. I'm only level 31, I believe. So I'm going to hold out on using that the mana pots to. Oh, actually, no, I have extra ones. So I'll use this one I have that's not applied to my guy.
There you go.
Let's see. There we go. I'll just leave this in my stash so I can equip it with this other life one. And Grand Life Flask, I can go in there. Still don't have a 3rd one of those. And this extra stuff I'm going to go ahead and put in my inventory. Now you can stack up to 40 in each stack, and then you have to create another stack. But there you go. Let's see. 23 max life. Yeah, I don't need this. I can sell that.
How you doing?
And that's a little cosmetic pet you can get. They have various different types of cosmetic pets in the game. Okay.
Clarissa pesters me with pity once more. There's only so much broth, so many bouquets that a man can take. For a criminal, she has a strangely soft center.
It looks like he's going to have an interesting story. You can see like he almost looks like half of his body has been demonized or something. He has claw for a hand, horns coming out of half his face.
Welcome to Sarn.
Okay.
You come alone? Sorry, that didn't come out right. I'd be one of Part 8 laboratory rats if not for you. Tortured and deformed like poor Grigor. God above, what if Tolman is already... Please, go to the crematorium. Find him.
Okay, so I guess, yep, and she's the one that has the magical item. So I guess that's how you get the magical item vendor in Act 3, is you have to rescue them on the first mission. So that problem has been solved. Now, another interesting thing is if you go out and you complete a quest and you come back, they will have different items for sale. So you make sure you're constantly checking up on the vendors and seeing what they have, seeing if it's not better than what you already have, or if it's something that is quite powerful and could be sold to somebody else, and you can use that as a way of getting ahead in the market. Let's see, 20%, 20% equals box time recovery. So I'm looking for something that can replace what I already have. Let's see, 20% physical damage. Yeah, I have 20% physical damage and increased life. So I don't want my damage to drop, but I also want to get some better additional stats. So I want at least the 24% additional damage, if not better. And there hasn't been anything that's dropped yet. So here I am. Don't really need the wands. Now these flasks are interesting because they give additional abilities, but these are the lesser flask of the ones that I have. They're like one step below, so I don't want to pick these up. Gives 20 less mana over time. And another thing, when you put 3 of the lesser flasks in to make the next level flask, keep in mind if they have special effects, like say this one, Dispel Shock, those don't carry over into the larger one, unfortunately. I don't know if, say I had 3 that all Dispelled Shock, if it would then turn into a greater than Dispelled Shock. But I do know if you have 1 and 2 regulars, it's just going to turn into it'll turn into the next level, but it's not going to keep the little side tag of whatever it happens to be. Like for instance, it's Dispel Shock. Some add little armor. Some give you instant life, but they have less charges. It just depends on the particular one. You can also buy these things outright for other items as well. Well, I guess this isn't the lesser form of this, because this costs 4 of these, so yeah, I guess this is a completely separate thing. I don't know what 20 of these turns into though, since they're so rare. Anytime I get one, I try to use it on my gear to get my links better, which is probably not the best thing to do. I should probably wait until I'm higher level gear, but things have been working out so far. Let's see, 23% cold. Yeah, these rings are nice because I'm getting multiple stats from them. I don't want to drop any of my accuracy there. It's a pretty important stat. 21% lightning resist, 23% cold. See, if I get anything on a ring, I want to have it do multiple things, not just 20% So I want to get some type of a resistance as well as doing some damage. Like this is just ridiculous. So I get mana regen, I get a couple different types of forms of damage, I get life, and I get cold resistance all in one package. So I'm looking for things like that. Or I'm looking for a base ring that has really high stats that I could convert with the Chance Orb. Like this is something I could probably do, but I'd probably want a higher stat on it. Like 23 is a little bit better. Or is it cold? Yeah. Yeah, I could try chancing that if I wanted to. And right now, because of the stat with the intellect, I'm probably going to end up keeping this for quite some time, at least until I skill into some nodes that have intellect. Also, because this has synergy with my block rating, because now 50% of my block rating, it can block spells as well. So, since I have such a heavy block build, or I'm building to have a heavy block build, keeping that is actually pretty effective, even though it is an intellect item. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up there. You saw what a full clear is like. You saw the basics of the game. I highly encourage anybody who's into the Diablo style of action RPG, who saw this game, to go ahead and try it out. Again, I was kind of face rolling most of the content there simply because of the level that I am right now, being so much higher than it. You did see a little bit of not really difficulty, but just me dropping down my life simply because of my resistance. They were heavy fire resist. I could have swapped out a ring, but I wasn't too worried about them. I knew I could take them all out without really needing to do that. But I did have that 30% extra fire that I could have, popped on at any time if I had wanted to. And again, you want to make sure if you're coming up against heavy elemental damage from one particular type, that you've created extra rings, which you can either buy them.
Still breathing, eh?
Well, actually, go over this girl.
Hello.
And you can either buy them, or you can use the iron ring in conjunction with one of the gems like I showed earlier, in order to create one of the particular resistance rings. I believe this one is... actually, I don't know exactly which one it creates, but... I'll leave that for you guys to discover. I know it's iron ring in combination of one of these 3 gems. So you're going to end up having extra gems. Like, for instance, I have 2 copies of Detonate Dead, so I already have all the resistance rings that I need, so I don't really need to create any more. But, each one creates a resistance to one of the 3 elements. So there you go. This is Path of Exile. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to be doing more content with it as I work my way through the Hardcore League. Probably once I work towards the boss of this level, I'll do another video showing the boss content. The full clear stuff, I mean, as long as I'm over leveled for it, probably isn't going to be too tough, so I might not do any videos on it until I get to, I believe Piety is going to be the last boss in this area. Not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure she's the last boss I end up fighting, unless I end up fighting her in this new area where she kidnapped this other guy. I don't know, but yeah, I know just from the challenge that I have quite a few. Oh wait, this is just the end. Where's the maps? Vendor, currency. Close that. Full clear difficulty. Yeah. Crematorium. Yeah, that's that. I have a way to go. I might end up fighting Piety twice, or maybe one of her minions. But anyway, yeah, I have quite a ways to go. But after I get all the full clears done, and I'm on the last boss, I'll probably do a video for the last boss, and then I'll probably start whenever I start in the next tier of difficulty. I'll probably do a video series that shows me progressing through the whole thing. And since I'll have the full clears done, I can just do like forward progression and not really worry about it. Although, if I end up staying by myself, I might have to still do some full clears just to get leveled up to a decent level before I can take on the bosses. But if I'm playing in groups, I probably won't worry about it, and I'll just push in and do the content at the minimal required level. But we'll see how things go. You know, this is hardcore. I do want to be a little cautious because of the fact that I don't know what's coming up in the future. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it. This has been OneBit signing off. Like, thumbs, sub, retweet. Later, guys.